This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, my feline-loving friends. This is Linda Hall, your co-host of 19 Cats and Counting, and we have got Dr. Rachel Geller on with us today. She is all about cats, which you know is what we love, and there's no time to tell you everything she's in. We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, I will fill you in. You do not want to miss this. Dr. Geller covers pretty much all areas of cathood. We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I am your co-host, Linda Hall, here with my BFF/business partner / work wife, according to my husband / I don't know, whatever. Emotional support. Yeah. Rita, hi.
Well, I'm here battling with, when you guys see the video, you'll see I am battling with Dexter. He always likes to try to rearrange how my screen looks and my focus here. And
yeah.
He's just the best, though.
Are you aware that Dr. Rachel Geller, Ed.D, is the founder and president of All Cats All the Time, perfect name, which is a 501c3, so we need to talk about that.
I know.
Dedicating to promoting the adoption of cats. Well, okay. And she's certified as a cat behavior and retention specialist.
I love that.
I've never heard that retention part. I like that. Humane Education Specialist. Another one we need to talk about, Pet Chaplain. I want to hear about this. Fear-free shelter specialist, American Association of Feline Practitioners. Is it over yet? Because I'm still reading. Practitioners, cat-friendly veterinary advocate, and RedRover Reader, cat behaviorist for cat animal shelters all over the world. She helps animal shelters, including working with adopters, training shelter volunteers, and instituting surrender prevention programs, and provides individual cat behavior help to cat parents. Well, let's bring her on and find out if she's awake enough to do this in addition to everything else, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
I'm right here. I'm raring to go.
Oh, my goodness. You're a busy lady, Dr. Geller.
I am. As you said, I'm all cats all the time.
I love it.
I love that because that's our motto, too, especially with I have 18 cats now, not 19. Linda has 11 cats and a Chihuahua.
Yeah, that poor Chihuahua. She's very confused. She doesn't know what
she is having an identity problem, I'm sure.
She's having a major identity problem. She even sat in the litter box one day. She didn't know what to do once she was in there. I tried to bribe her, like, use it. I live in Ohio. There's snow out there. Use the litter box. But no, she just
she wouldn't do that.
Well, I'm sitting through a snowstorm right now as we speak here in the lovely Boston area. Yes. So I noticed you were interested in the cat behavior and retention.
Yes,
absolutely.
I've never heard retention on the end of that.
So I would love to talk about that a little bit if I can take the floor.
You certainly can.
Thank you, because this is one of my main missions in life is I never want there to be a financial barrier preventing people from keeping their cats in their homes when the reason for surrender may be a behavioral issue. So my focus is really on surrender prevention. And what I do individually, but also helping shelters, is trying to help shelters look at surrenders with a new lens, looking at a new perspective in the world of sheltering. So for example, somebody calls the shelter and they say, my cat is peeing all over the place. The old way of thinking might be, I don't know if we can really take this cat in. I mean, this could be a problem. Will this cat be able to be adopted out? Can we handle this? And so perhaps you might say to the caller, well, we can put you on a wait list. Have you tried these other shelters, etc.? Now, what I'm trying to work on getting shelters to move towards is now we can say to the caller, that sounds so frustrating. I'm really sorry that your cat is peeing all over the place, but I'm so glad that you called our shelter because we can provide free cat behavior counseling to work with you so that you can keep your cat. And we know that most of these problems are fixable, and we can provide a free cat behaviorist to work with you to resolve this problem so you can keep your cat. And that is where the retention piece comes in. So not only working with cat behavior, but working so that cats stay in their homes. And this really saves 2 lives, right? So that cat can stay in the home that she already has, and that frees up a spot in a shelter for a cat who is truly homeless. So not only do I work with individuals, but I work with shelters, helping them to set up their own cat behavior and retention programs. And I do this all completely free of charge.
I love this.
Rachel,
That's what we're about too, is retention and making sure that owners have the tools to keep their cat in their home.
Yes. We just filed for our 501c3. So we're trying
excited
to be able to do more work and help because, you get into it like we're all about cats. Rita started a cats only sitting business, pet sitting business, ran over 17 and a half years. We loved it, but we were like behavior. And so then we're like, okay, that's it. We're shifting gears into behavior. And then we're seeing all of the other things, especially in the time of the pandemic, people who can't afford stuff, people who are dying and their cats are being left orphaned. We're seeing so much of this. And I said, my own parents are 81 and dad will be 83 in a few weeks. And, I said, they're living on pension and Social Security. If their cat gets diabetes at $150 a vial of insulin, what do they do?
Right.
So this is amazing that you're doing this and helping not just when the problem hits, but helping them from getting to the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is amazing. So do you just go out to all these shelters and say, we're here, reach out if you have this need?
So I do a lot of conferences and seminars where my presentation or my topic will be helping shelters how to set up their own cat behavior and retention program. And I have a whole presentation and PowerPoint lecture that I go through, and I really guide them through the steps of how to put that together. I mean, it sounds very daunting, I think, to a lot of shelters, especially many of them are all volunteer. So I have a whole program where I go through it step by step and help people develop their own cat behavior and retention programs. And individually, I work with people who come to me with cat behavior problems, and often they will say to me, they're considering surrendering their cat. And I do feel like many people, if the cat has already peed on 3 sofas or 2 beds or turned their couch into confetti, they may not want to really spend hundreds of dollars on cat behavior help. They're already at their wit's end. So that's where I find these services are so important, because at the end of the day, we want those cats to stay in their homes. And I just think many people aren't aware that these problems are really fixable. We're all aware of dog trainers, and almost every shelter has, a dog staff. So I'm really, it's like I said, my mission in life to get those people into shelters who are cat behaviorists and cat trainers, for lack of a better word, but people who will help guide cat owners through these problems so we can keep cats and people together.
I'm sure that the shelter here could probably use something like that, but they might be somewhat resistant. How do you address a shelter that might be reluctant to put a program in place because they're afraid they don't have the staff?
Yeah, so I have a whole kind of checklist that I go through where when people are resistant or shelters are resistant, they try to find out where the resistance is coming from. Is it a financial limitation, a time limitation, a patience limitation? And I'll find we can always put something together. It may not be perfect. It may be a little bit, on a shoestring or a low budget, but typically I can help people put a program together, and any type of program is better than having nothing at all. I'll even help people, I have a lot of videos, for example, on my website. I'll say to shelters, if they're really resistant, just put my website up on your shelter and link to my videos. If somebody can watch one of my videos and get some ideas or, start thinking about how to solve the problem on their own, that right there will give the person hope. And sometimes all a cat owner needs is some hope to know that the problem can be solved. It doesn't always have to be rocket science.
Yes.
That's so true.
Yes. We've had a couple clients that start in tears, and we're like, we're like, that just killed me. Did you see her crying? Just breaks your heart. And yeah, we get that. If you can't fix this, the cat's gone. But there are so many. I did the math one day. Ree's probably sick of hearing this number, but I looked at how many cats are surrendered to U.S. shelters and then what percentage are for behavior. And it came up 134,400 cats are surrendered to U.S. shelters every year for behavior problems only.
Yeah, it's the second most common reason aside from cost. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not, and that's not including the private shelters and the cats that just got the boot out the door, right? This is just, rescue U.S. shelters as opposed to private rescues. 134,400. I mean, yeah, we got to do something. And I'm just thinking, if rescues would go through your seminar and then reach out on their local Facebook pages and say, is there a behaviorist in the area that would be willing to donate some of their time, right?
Absolutely.
Here I am.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Honestly, there are even resources. Well, for example, many of my presentations are recorded. So people can always find my presentations and be able to follow those instructions and set up a program. But even like the Humane Society has a step-by-step guide on their website of how to set up a basic cat behavior and retention program. So there are free resources out there. And you're right, chances are there's a behaviorist or a vet tech who may say, I'd be willing to donate a few hours every week to a shelter. Many times you just have to ask. If you don't ask, people don't know.
Yes. Yeah. As you were talking, I was like, call FFRC and call, yes.
Yeah. We're in two different cities, so we could tackle two different areas.
Yeah. You've got South Carolina where it's in the 70s, by the way, Dr. Keller.
Oh, very nice.
But, as we freeze in Boston and Ohio.
Hey, I grew up in Buffalo. I did my time.
I want out of it. I
grew up in Maine, so I didn't really do much better. And to both of you, and I really mean it, if your respective shelters would like to reach out and talk to me, I'm happy to speak with both of them and
awesome.
Start them off on the right paw, so to speak.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. And then, I would definitely be willing to donate some of my time to work, especially in the age of Zoom. I mean, you don't even have to put real pants on, right? You just, top hat.
Shh, don't tell her.
The commercial when the guy gets up to get his coffee and you see his underwear and he's like,
a lot of time we become marriage counselors too, because people come to us where one person wants to solve a problem. The other person's like, the cat's out of here. So there's been a few instances where we've kind of had the pressure of we're saving a marriage too.
Yes, there are many times where, one family member or the girlfriend or the boyfriend or, one of the spouses, they can feel very differently. One person desperately wants to keep the cat. Typically, it's the person who brought the cat into the relationship. And the other person, doesn't want to sit on one more wet spot on the couch or deal with any more behavior problems, whatever they are. And it is true. Many times I spend just as much time bringing everybody on board as I do solving the behavior problem. But what I do find is that, many times once the more resistant person in the relationship or the family is assured that the problem can be solved, I can usually get them to come around. And, that brings up another point too, because sometimes in my mind, I'm thinking, just dump the boyfriend.
I know. Yes.
So sometimes, but at the end of the day, I want them both on my side. So I have to really take my feelings sometimes out of it and be there for both people. And it is hard, but it's very important to be non-judgmental, empathetic to both people and both points of view, and to really work with everybody involved.
Linda's good at that. I'm not so good.
Yeah.
Well, they do. You try to put yourself in there. Like one couple that we had, they're in love, they're
Which
dating,
one?
Everything's great. I know. He's moving in with her. He brings his lifelong cat, who is his soul and his heart. You know which one. And the cat starts peeing on things. And this woman, it was her home first. It's beautiful. She takes amazing care of it. Everything is to the nines. And, we're soaking into subflooring here. She's freaking out. So I get it. She's mad. Didn't want to be on the Zoom call. Didn't want anything to do with it. I get it. She's mad. This monster came into my house and destroyed it. But it's like, we got to stop and reframe this and realize that if we can fix it and all can be happy, because my biggest worry
is two cats.
Well, yeah, she had one, right? No, he had both. You're right.
Because he wanted us to take the two. And I'm like, I already have 18. I can't do it.
Yeah. But, if he gives up the cat, this is my concern. If he gives up his cat, he's going to resent her on some level. It's just like getting married and having stepkids, right? Like, this kid's driving me nuts. I'd like to kick him out, but this means bad news for my marriage. So, I want people to work together to try to achieve that harmony, right? Otherwise, there's going to be resentment.
Right. We need to get everybody on the same page. And I think, like, as you pointed out already, with the kind of joking about being a marriage counselor, but it is true, providing hope and providing optimism and being positive are so important in getting everybody on board. And really, a lot of that is part of the whole process, that whole empathy and understanding and being there and getting it. Sometimes if I just say to the resistant person, I understand cat pee is really smelly.
Oh, it's awful.
And but when they know that you understand and you get it, it really goes a long way. So it is really important to sort of, get both people involved and be understanding to both people, even though it can be hard. But, we need to do that because our ultimate goal is to have it work for the cat to stay in her home. And, another thing I do is explain that a lot of times the person who isn't the original cat person thinks the cat's misbehaving or the cat is bad, and sort of educating people that cats don't think in terms of right or wrong the way we do. Cats don't deliberately misbehave. If the cat isn't using her litter box, it's because something or someone, right, there's a reason in her mind that's preventing her from using it. And she's trying to solve the problem as a cat, not as a person. And that piece is very important to get the more resistant family member or spouse or, significant other on board with the whole process.
Yes. You are singing our song. Is she like our person?
Yes.
She's totally yes. Somebody
sure.
recently asked me something to the extent of cats never show shame for the things they do wrong. A dog will, but a cat won't. And I wrote back and somebody said that's because cats don't care. And I said, it's because the cat didn't do anything wrong,
right.
According to the cat.
Right. In the cat's mind, this is a perfectly reasonable solution to a problem.
The dog doesn't feel shame either. He's scared because he knows he's going to get yelled at.
The dog's feeling fear. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I upset my alpha. But yeah, the cat's like, I don't know what you're getting upset about. What's wrong with you? Right.
Right.
Like,
the cat said, I solved this problem brilliantly. What's your problem?
I had a need. I fixed it. What is your problem?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I think that's key, because if you go into it with the mindset that there's a bad cat, a jerk cat, the cat hates me, the cat peed on my pillow on purpose, it's kind of hard to do good work and try to solve your cat's problem when you think he's just this giant jerk that hates your guts, right?
Yes, that's just not going to be good for anybody. And this whole thing where, a cat pees out of spite,
right?
Out of revenge. I mean, I just hear these tales of woe. She peed on my bed to get back at me. She peed on my luggage because she's mad at me. She peed on my boyfriend's shoes because she doesn't like my new boyfriend. Well, maybe that one could be.
Maybe, yeah. Keep an eye on that one. Yeah, put a pin in that.
Actually, we did kind of see that one.
Cats don't pee out of spite, and the cats don't pee out of revenge. And yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. My parents had a problem one year. They winter in Florida, and my mom called me and said, I'm worried about Jazzy's life. Your dad's losing it because he keeps peeing on our bed. They had him for years. He's never done that before. I said, did you switch litters recently? Yeah, we moved to something that was lighter for your dad. Put it back. Problem solved. That easy. I mean, I wish they were all that easy. Bills in the mail.
A lot of them really are. take the cover off. Don't have the litter box in the closet. Don't have it in the basement. Many times, literally like a couple of sentences.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make this 15-year-old cat go up 2 stories to go to the bathroom, because that's not going to happen.
Or in the basement. Exactly. I understand wanting to keep that smell in your basement, but your 15-year-old arthritic cat is dying going up and down their stairs and may just decide it's easier to relieve themselves here, right?
Yeah. Much more convenient.
Yes, exactly.
We have to take a little break to hear from our awesome sponsors, but we'll be right back with Dr. Rachel Geller.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And we're back with 19 Cats and Counting, my co-host Linda Hall and the awesome Dr. Rachel Geller, who's all about the cat.
I want to know about being a pet chaplain.
Yes.
So as a cat behaviorist, and when I'm working with clients over a period of time, I was experiencing a couple of things. Number one, if a case would go on for 2 to 3 years, sometimes cases are very difficult. Sometimes people need a lot of hand-holding. There were times that a cat might die in the process. And the other thing that I found happening was I would solve a problem, and several years later, somebody would write to me and say, I just want to let you know, you helped me so much. Fluffy passed away. And so I decided that I didn't want the relationship to end, or I didn't want to not be there for these people when they may need care and comfort when they've lost their beloved cat. So I decided to become certified as a pet chaplain. And what that is I do provide pastoral care and comfort. And I am with people on that journey of grief as they need me. And it's been really a nice addition to what I already do, because it's another tool in the toolkit when I'm working with people. You know, cats do have such short lifespans that invariably a cat would pass away while I'm working with people, or, you know, like I said, sometimes after, and somebody just wanted to let me know. And the idea that I would just say, or not know what to say, or just say something kind of trite, I felt like I had a relationship and a bond with these people. You know, they cared enough to want to reach back out and let me know.
I wish I knew you when I lost my Sadie.
Right, because it's such a difficult experience, and many people go through that feeling where people don't seem to understand.
Yes.
You know, they'll hear like it's just a cat, or, you know, when you lose a person, there's kind of like a playbook, for lack of a better term. People know what to do. You go to the wake, you go to the visiting hours, there's cards, there's protocols, there's policies that you follow. You get a certain amount of bereavement days from your work. You know, we all know what to do when someone loses a human. When someone loses a cat, not so much. People don't know what to do. And cat owners who have lost a cat often experience what's called disenfranchised grief. They're feeling their grief, but their grief isn't recognized.
Yes. That's why I wrote my book, Sadie's Heart, because I went through that. And there was nobody, there was nothing out there about.
You couldn't have gone into the office the next day. You were in bed in
Linda, I
horrible
was a
grief
pet
for
sitter
days.
then. I went and did my pet sits, and I came home, went back to bed and cried.
Yeah.
Did you not read the book?
Yeah, I did. It was traumatizing, and I cried so much I try not to think about it. Thanks for bringing it up.
I was also working for Richard Simmons at the time, and he called me every day to try to get me up out of bed. He was like the only one who really understood.
Well, he loved his dogs the way we love our. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the following problems too of when do I adopt another cat? I see that a lot with people like, is it rude to my cat to adopt another cat now? Or people having guilt, a cat passes and they've got another cat and they feel guilty loving on the remaining cat because the first one is gone.
And it's a very personal decision. I always tell people there's no right or wrong. When you adopt a new cat, you're certainly not replacing the cat that you had. The heart has an amazing ability to expand. So you're not replacing, your heart is expanding to include more love. Many times if people, you know, I try to feel it out, you know, which way are they leaning towards? If they really want to adopt a cat, I'll often say to them, and I really do believe this, you know, what a lovely legacy to the cat who you just lost.
Exactly.
That you're going to save another life. You know, your cat that you just lost, that cat hit the jackpot, you know, when he found you, right? You were a loving, beautiful home. You gave that cat everything. How lovely to now go out and do that for another life that needs to be saved, that needs
That's
to be.
this guy.
And yes, exactly. Well, and it's a compliment to the cat that passed. Someone said that to me. I was widowed in 2002. And when I got remarried in 2004, I had all these feelings. I got it. The guilt of him. I feel like I'm cheating on Dan, right? We were married 12 years and I'm with this other guy, you know, but I'm not dead. I was in my 30s when he passed. It was really rough. And someone said to me that that was the best compliment to Dan, that my marriage was so wonderful that I was missing that and wanted that again.
Your marriage was so wonderful that in the experience experience was so fulfilling that you wanted to be married again.
Exactly. Yes.
That's such a lovely way to look at it. It is personal, and people have to, there is no right or wrong. There's no timeline. I know we often put these timelines, well, you get 3 bereavement days.
Right.
But
over in 3 days.
Better now after that 3rd day. But in reality, that's not the way it works, whether it's a person or a cat. So, when you feel ready and you're able to give to that new cat, and you feel, I think it's a beautiful thing to adopt another cat, but there are other people who feel like they need to wait, and that's okay too. I do a lot of listening, and I try to just be with them on their journey and provide pastoral care as they need it.
That's a wonderful
thing. An amazing gift. I'd never heard of that before. Had you, Rita?
Me neither.
I saw that and I was like, I need to know about this. What is this?
That was one of the things that made me want to contact you. One of many things is I saw that. I said, that is something I've never heard of.
Yes. And it's needed. Yeah.
Perhaps we should explore that, Linda.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah. It's through the Association of Veterinary Pastoral Education. And if you just Google Pet Chaplain, it'll come up. Yeah, it's a wonderful program. I think you would both enjoy it, even if you don't end up practicing. I think you would enjoy going through the program and just having that confidence and comfort that you'll be able to do the right thing, because it can be difficult.
And those tools do work in
during
places.
the pet sitting, Linda, how many did we lose?
Oh, yeah, on everybody. And it's so hard because, you're right, when a person dies, there's the days at the funeral home and the people coming to give you the support, and people are dropping off casseroles. I think there's still some in the freezer from 2002. It was a lot of casseroles. But
and so you have a 17-year-old son. I don't think there's any.
Yeah, probably not. He'll not eat anything that'll hold still long enough for him to stab it. And then you've got the funeral and you've got your time, and then you're supposed to start playing.
It's a process that helps you know what's coming.
Your cat, and you walk out of this room and you're just so empty. And what now?
Somebody actually said to me after I lost Sadie, and I had 6 cats at that time, well, you have 5 others. Well, okay, so you have 6 children and 1 dies. Well, you have 5 others, right? Same thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that one thing I've learned in my years is I always try to consider a person's intent. So I'm sure that person wasn't intending to hurt you, right? That person just didn't know what to say and thought perhaps that would give you some comfort. And this is why having pet chaplains is so important, because people aren't going to know what to say. People don't know how to react to the grief over the loss of a beloved pet. And so knowing that there's someone there that you can turn to that can really be there for you, guide you through the process, let you take the time that you need, is critical, really.
Yes. When I lost my husband, I was in therapy. And there isn't anybody for your animals,
No.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I wrote the book. Back then, nobody talked about this.
Exactly.
Speaking of books, you have a book out, Dr. Rachel Geller. Tell us about Saving the World One Cat at a Time.
So my book, yes, Saving the World One Cat at a Time, was a labor of love. It's a little bit of what I call an instructional memoir. It talks a little bit about how I got to this point where I am today. And then it really dives deep into cat behavior and programs and I provide easy to implement solutions for basic cat behavior problems. And the other thing about my book is I donate 100% of the proceeds from book sales to cat shelters.
Nice.
I love that.
Buys my book, not only will they learn about cats, but they'll be helping cats.
Yes, that's wonderful. And that's pretty much how you have to look at it. Rita just said, because we have an end goal of getting a shelter for seniors and unadoptable cats, the cats that we tend to adopt, the FIV positive, the semi-feral. Yeah.
The 3-legged ones and the 16-year-olds whose owners died. I've got some of those.
Yeah. And she said, I wish we had it open. I just saw with everything that's going on, I just saw there's a couple cats here. And I said, there's always going to be cats, right? Like always, even if we had it open and we scooped up those cats, we'd be at capacity and you'd be going, but there's those
we're
cats,
going to be
right?
full. The first day we open Sadie's Heart Cat Sanctuary and Outreach will be full, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then what? Yes.
I feel like the shelters are always full and the wallets are always empty. It's just a continuous.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true. So I like one cat at a time. Yes.
Down here, I live in a very small town, Lancaster, South Carolina, and there's things in place to get the kittens adopted, but nothing for the adult cats. And a lot of times they either just sit in the shelter forever, or they die, they languish away. Like the two I adopted they weren't going to be euthanized, but they were going to die of a broken heart. Those are the cats we want. The ones nobody, I'm the one who walk into the shelter and go, who pees? I want that cat.
I want the cat that somebody brought in because it keeps peeing on their pillow. Where's that cat? Put it in the carrier.
So funny. And I'm the one who says, give me the cats with the behavior problems that bite and attack and, that nobody else wants. So it's good. It's good.
Give me the cat nobody wants. Yeah.
Good thing that we're out here.
Say. Yeah. They usually find us before we have a chance to look for them. But yes, if I was going in, yeah, I think number 12 would mean divorce for me at this point, but we're trying.
I don't think so. I mean, you don't want to test it, but I don't think so.
No, but I don't want to push him either. He's been awfully sweet as we've grown from, no, I don't want cats, I hate cats, was the beginning of our marriage.
Only one.
And then it was one, only one. And then it was like, well, they suggest two, only two. Yeah.
And then when you brought that kitten home, he said, why didn't we get a kitten before?
These are fun.
You were just like a cat behaviorist. You were presenting things to your husband gradually and incrementally. You did it perfectly.
Exactly. Yes. Then my daughter and I started volunteering at a shelter, and we just kept coming home talking about a cat. And one day he just said, fine, one cat, but just one. And we were looking for flying pigs, and we're like, and now he's always got a cat on his lap, and Kismet sleeps on his hip at night, and he had to roll over last night. And I heard him saying, careful, Kismet, I got to roll over, and like moving him slowly. And I'm like,
aww.
You hate cats. Yeah.
He's smitten.
He is.
Well, in all honesty, 4 of your cats belong to Nikki.
Yes.
Her daughter had to move back in after her husband passed from COVID.
Yeah.
So Linda had to blend her 7 cats with Nikki's 4, which was fun.
That's when I needed every behaviorist in the world on speed diet. That was really ugly for a little bit there.
But we did it, and it's doable.
It is doable. Introductions, are very possible, even in multi-cat households. You just need to have the proper structure and the proper process. And not only are introductions very possible, reintroductions are possible. You can always walk it back with cats who aren't getting along and reintroduce them as if they've never met. So yes, nothing is ever hopeless.
Exactly. Yes, it was ugly, but we made it through. It was just a lot of stress and pressure. Well, and you got to remember that the cats, I said the cats were grieving Sebastian. He disappeared for 26 days while he was in the hospital. And then when he passed, my daughter just starts loading him up and bringing him over here. They're like, what
is going on?
Where is Dad? Why are we at Grandma's? Right? Like, what is going on?
Right. Well, from your perspective, you knew what was going on, but from the cat's perspective, suddenly their whole world was turned upside down. So all perfectly natural when you think about it.
Yeah. That's the way people need to think. They need to put themselves in the cat's position and look out of their eyes and how are they seeing the situation?
Yes. Go cat's eye view with this.
Even when you bring a new cat home, people will call me up and say, the cat doesn't like me. I've returned this cat. She's not coming to me. And I'll say, if somebody put you in a cage in a car and drove you to a strange place and locked you in a room, to put in perspective, you'd be calling the police. So, right. Give the cat a little bit of time.
Sure.
Yes.
And you don't speak the language. It's not like they can tell you, listen, you're just here for a little while. Everything's fine. Blah, blah, it's
right.
It's just boom. And who are these aliens and what is happening? Yes. And we don't know, especially with a cat that's adopted from a shelter, we don't know what they've been through.
Often we don't know.
We don't. You could be the best home in the world, but if you're the 5th placement that cat has had in maybe a couple of weeks, maybe the cat's been outside. There may be a foster home. There may be a shelter. It's possible the cat was adopted and returned. By the time that cat gets to you, it's probably been through a lot of different environments, and he doesn't know and isn't sure that this is going to be the last stop. His life has been one thing after the next. So
that was my Rosie. She had been in 2 homes, had been in the shelter twice, and was about to be returned to the shelter the 3rd time when I took her. She's so lovely. She's the best kitty, but it took a couple of years for her to fully settle in.
Yeah.
It does.
Look.
Yeah. People don't realize it takes the average cat 3 weeks to kind of decompress and 3 months to really feel comfortable. And that's a cat with not all the baggage that you have. People expect the cat to be fine like in the next couple of days. And
I know someone
you may get lucky. Some cats are like that, right? Just like some people, some people can walk into a room and not know anybody. And by then the end of the night, like they're the mayor of the room and they're very outgoing and they've made all kinds of friends. Or some people are like me. If I walk into a room and I don't know anybody, I'm happy to stand in the corner with my glass of wine and just
That's me.
Yeah,
Linda's out there
those
circulating.
things.
I'm in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I tell people cats have to size you up and decide whether you are predator, prey, or part of my social structure. And just like you said, just with people, there are people that I kind of have one of those things where I'll meet somebody and I'll just be like, I love them. We need to do coffee, right? Or whatever, some cats are like that. And they're like, yeah, you smell okay.
Yeah, Dexter was easy.
And then, Dexter was so easy. But then other cats need time to really feel comfortable in a strange place. And
they do, yes. We need to respect their individual differences.
And not knowing what they've come through. Rita picked up a cat on the streets of LA one year.
Smokey.
Yes. Beautiful Russian blue. And she put up all these signs.
Still have him.
Yes. The signs kept disappearing. And a neighbor finally called her and said, I know whose cat it is. I'm not telling you. Keep the cat. They keep tossing him out. So, and he's just the perfect cat. Rachel, if you told me that cat did anything wrong, I wouldn't believe you.
He's just wonderful.
I come and stay with Rita for weeks at a time. And I have never seen Smokey do anything even remotely naughty.
No,
he's
never.
Just perfect. But one day her friend Iris was over and she was putting her shoes on and she dangled her shoelaces to play with him. And Smokey freaked out, ran, hid under a bed, didn't come out forever. So we were like,
someone threw shoes.
He probably got kicked or thrown a shoe at or
both.
All these years later, that's still there. And it's, freak out time.
Yeah, I don't dangle shoelaces anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
He's 14 now. He's 14.
Wow. Yeah. He's such a good kitty.
And you can relate to that as people. There were probably things that happened in your childhood. I know I have. And there were certain things that stay with you. And
they do.
And our cats are very much the same way. And that can be, a plus and a minus. I think people do tend to place human feelings and emotions onto our cats. But on the flip side, our cats do really share many of our emotions and feelings.
Yes, exactly.
They really do.
Yes. They really do.
We're out of time. I hate that.
We could
go
Dr.
on and
Rachel
on.
Back sometime. Yes, because there's a lot.
Before we wrap up and give Dr. Rachel a chance to talk about her websites, who's behind you, Dr. Rachel? I see the black tail twitching. You've got to let everyone see.
Oh, so sweet. Look at that baby.
Isn't he precious?
He is.
So he was another one of those cats who was languishing in the shelter. He had been abused. He was tossed in a dumpster. And he didn't really like to come up to people too much. And so I took him home. And you were talking before about the perfect cat. This cat is also pretty perfect. He has turned into a real lap cat. He loves to sit on my lap when I come in here to do work or, be a guest on a presentation or a webinar or a podcast. He's my trusty assistant back there.
I love him.
He's every night. So he's really come a long way. Yes. And his name is Elijah.
Elijah.
I want everybody to take note of that bad cat that you just can't live with. Look at that lump laying back there, looking all adorable and black and sleek back there.
Yes, and he was the cat in the shelter that nobody wanted because he wouldn't come to you or he'd run away from people. He'd run and hide. And he wanted to love. He just needed to be shown how.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are the deeper bonds too, that you have to work for it. When they finally trust you, they really trust you.
Yes. I
agreed.
adopted a cat that was rescued from a feral county. And I guess we call her semi-feral now. Like she can live with you in comfort, but don't try to touch her. And a couple months ago, I finally got that moment. I keep working on it. It's been like 4 years. And she was all over me. And I took a video and I sent it to Rita and I said, could you get in your time machine and tell me 2 years ago that this cat's a little too clingy? Because get this cat off me, right? Like I thought I would never be able to touch Karma ever.
It was shockingly wonderful.
It was, yes. Like there were tears. Yes. 4 years.
And that story.
Yes, and that's extreme because she was born and lived feral most of her life. But, the point is with time and patience and love.
Yes. Oftentimes it's just a matter of time and patience and you will be richly rewarded.
Exactly. Yes.
How can people find you, Dr. Geller?
They can go to my website, which is drgellercatbehavior.com. And I have all kinds of information on there. I have videos people can watch. And I also have a submission form. So if you do have a cat behavior question, go ahead and fill out the form and submit it, and I will work with you completely free of charge.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is amazing.
That's so wonderful.
And Saving the World One Cat at a Time is available on Amazon, I saw.
Yes.
So, yes.
And my website as well.
And on your website as well. Awesome. Perfect. Okay.
That's great. Well, I hate to wrap this up. I hope you'll come back and be our guest again on a future show.
Please.
And Linda, as always, it's a pleasure. My best friend, my ride or die, Linda Hall. And we have to thank Mark Winter, the owner of Pet Life Radio, who graciously gave us a spot on his website, on his podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you need help, besides visiting Dr. Rachel, you can also visit catbehavioralliance.com, read about the nonprofit we're building, the new sanctuary, and look at our blogs. Reach out if you need some help. Everybody just remember, every day's Catterday, and we'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.